Imagine this. You are standing in the middle of a bustling city street, maybe New York. Cars are honking, people are shouting into their phones, and there's like this construction noise clanging all around you. We've all been there. The cacophony is overwhelming, right? I mean, it's dizzying, just noise and chaos. Now, imagine stepping through a magical door and then suddenly finding yourself in this serene forest, right? I mean, the den of the city just vanishes and it's replaced by this stillness. You can hear your own breaths, maybe even your heartbeat, right? The soft, gentle rustle of leaves, maybe a distant bird, right? Oh, I just love going hiking in the woods. How does your body respond to this shift? Do you feel your shoulders drop? Maybe your jaw unclenched or your racing thoughts begin to slow? In our hyper-connected, always-on world, moments of true silence have really become rare. We are constantly bombarded by notifications and advertisements and the relentless chatter of our own busy minds. But what if I told you that intentionally seeking out pockets of silence can be one of the most powerful tools for restoring balance and finding clarity? Well, let me show you. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. Listen closely. Are you ready? Silence. Silence is not just the absence of noise, but is a presence all its own. In those quiet moments when we allow the external world to fall away, we create space for something truly magical. We give ourselves permission to, wait for it, simply be. There's this wonderful old story about a young monk who was struggling to find inner peace, and he sought out his teacher and complaining that his mind was always racing, always filled with worries and plans. And the wise old monk smiled and said, "Come, walk with me." So they strolled to a nearby pond, and its surface was perfectly still, mirroring the sky. The teacher pointed and said, "Look at your reflection." So, obediently, the young monk peered into the water, seeing his face ever so clear. Then the teacher tossed a small pebble into the pond, sending ripples across the surface. "Now what do you see?" he asked. The monk's reflection was distorted by the waves, right? "This is your mind," the teacher explained. "Constant noise and activity are like pebbles, creating ripples that obscure your true self. But in stillness, you can see clearly." This simple parable, it so illustrates truth, right? That silence allows us to reconnect with our deepest selves, to hear the whispers of our inner intuition, right? That are so often drowned out by the noise of the daily life. But here's the thing. Embracing silence can be uncomfortable at first, let's be honest, right? I mean, we are so used to constant stimulation that quieting our environment can feel almost unnerving, right? Anxious even. Our minds might rebel, flooding us with random thoughts and to-do lists and old worries, and I should be doing this instead of this, and this is normal. It's like your brain is throwing a little tantrum because it's used to being constantly entertained. Go sit in a corner, brain. That's what I want to tell myself sometimes. But the key is to approach silence with gentleness and with curiosity. Start small. Maybe 2 minutes in the morning before you check your phone, or a quiet walk without music or podcast. Just walk in silence. And as you practice, you might notice some surprising things, like enhanced creativity, right? When we give our minds space to wander, we often stumble upon our most innovative ideas. Improved focus, right? These These regular periods of silence, it can actually help us concentrate better when we need to. And then, of course, emotional regulation, right? Quiet reflection, it allows us to process our feelings more effectively. And then stress reduction. Silence activates the body's relaxation response, which then lowers our blood pressure and our heart rate, reducing our stress. I want you to know that I see you. I do. I know how challenging it can be to carve out those moments of stillness in a world that seems to demand our constant attention. But I also know the incredible potential for healing that lies within those quiet spaces. So here's my invitation this week for you. Choose one day to have a silent hour. If an hour is too much, silent 30. 30 is too much, 15, 10, 5. It doesn't have to be full 60 minutes of meditation unless you want it to be. But instead, think of this as a time where you intentionally reduce external noise. Maybe you take a leisurely bath without your phone nearby, or maybe just make a meal without any stimulus around you, and just focusing on the sounds and the sensations of the chopping vegetables, right? Or perhaps you just sit in nature, literally observing the world around you without trying to capture it for social media. There are enough pictures out there in the world of forest. So just sit and enjoy the one you're in. And as you engage in this practice, I want you to pay attention to what comes up for you. Do you feel antsy? Do you feel bored? Do you feel peaceful? Do you feel uncomfortable? There's no right or wrong way to experience silence. The goal is to simply create space and see what happens. So remember, embracing silence doesn't mean you have to become a monk or completely disconnect from the world. It's about finding a balance, about creating moments of stillness within the beautiful chaos of life. And these quiet interludes, they become like little islands, right? Nourishing your spirit and helping you show up more fully in all areas of your life. And so as we wrap up our time, I want to return to that image of the still pond. Imagine yourself sitting beside those tranquil waters, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over you. And in that silence, you can see your reflection clearly. Not just your physical form, but the presence of who you truly are beneath all the noise and the busyness of daily life. And so this reflection, this connection to yourself, it's always there. It's just waiting for you. Sometimes it might get obscured by the ripples of the hectic day or a challenging season of life. But when we cultivate these moments of silence, you begin to create these pathways back to that stillness, back to your truest self. So I'm rooting for you as you explore the healing power of silence in your own life. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's not. It's about progress. Every moment of intentional quiet is a gift to yourself. It's a chance to recharge and to recalibrate and just to find stillness. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And thank you for sharing this time with me. Until we meet again, be so kind to your mind. And may you find moments of peace in the beautiful silence that surrounds us all. To find more episodes of Calm It Down, see where I may be appearing in your area, or just simply want to know where to send me some chocolate chip cookies, visit calmitdownpodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended, nor should they, serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you. And you should only act upon the advice of this physician. Now, I'm an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this in future podcast episodes to aid those needs. So to find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review, or better yet, share it with a friend. While it takes less than 60 seconds to do, its impact will last for years to come, as every little bit helps in growing the awareness and the importance of mental and emotional health. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down.